Okay, now Easter is coming again. What is similar to the Jewish Passover. And one is a Christian holiday, the other one is a Jewish holiday. They are both connected with each other. In the Jewish tradition, because Jesus was resurrected in the days of the feast, like it's written in Greek, and there is under the theologians and under the most interpreters of the Bible, it is about the Passover holiday of the Jews. So Passover is more or less about freeing the Jews from the slavery in Egypt. The message, leave Egypt behind. Let the chains, leave their chains and become free. So this is a kind of metamorphosis, this is a kind of change of lifestyle in a very revolutionary way, and has a spiritual level as well. It's still a little bit more on the physical level, from slave to free men, but it is a part of the spiritual path as well. And such a huge change, a revolutionary changes go along with some kind of pain as well. And Easter was more or less as well a Passover, because Jesus went into the light, back to another, back to heaven, or whatever we want to call it. So that's both a kind of development. So I leave now the discussion about resurrection as only important thing, or is it about third heaven, a little bit outside, but there will be no one who could deny that the third heaven plays a major role. Paul said he has seen the third heaven, and Jesus has seen the third heaven and has taught it out of knowledge, both have taught it out of knowledge. And it's about Nathaniel said that because he was considered a just man, a man of justice, a man who fulfills his duties and lives righteous, the righteous man Nathaniel, Jesus prophesied, you will see the third heaven quite soon. Okay, and so that's only about the three men who really have this kind of experience to talk about it. The others talk about hearsays. So in the way of the known big sense in Christianity. So let's make a little bit something clear, because people sometimes ask me, what are you Christian, are you not a Christian, whatever, etc. So yes, I'm baptized, so that means I'm officially Christian, but I have also studied comparative religion, and I not only don't see any borderlines between different congregations in Christianity, I don't see the borderlines between different religions in this way like traditions see it. Because I don't believe in churches, I believe in God. This can be in different ways. So churches in all religions and all congregations have a huge amount of perversion, a huge amount of changes behind them that makes them partially even contradictory to the original teaching. It's not only a Christian matter, it's a matter of all religions. When you really study comparative religion, then you should know it. And out of this background, I see many similarities in the teaching. Just to make no secrets, so I'm not a missionary, and I don't really care if you share my views or not. What we have to share is an agreement about law and order, and we have to go along with it, and we have to enforce it. To live peacefully together, that's what's our duty. But there's a freedom of souls, what's very important, the freedom of mind, the freedom of speech, and the freedom of belief or not belief. Very important to the forefathers, to me, and to every single person. Okay, fine. So let's think it a little bit. Also, I like the ideas of Jefferson, but they are a little bit limited in some way. So I go a little bit farther because things like different space-times, complex space-time haven't known in the time of Jefferson. And the option to define Trinity in a way of tachyon, tachyon, photons and physics, reality, what is possible for a physics scientist, somebody who has studied theoretical physics can interpret easily the Trinity in a logical way into these three factors, tachyon, tachyon, and photon. So this is an approach what is possible and brings logic inside. So I wouldn't agree 100% that it's total bullshit. There may be some truth, but it depends on the definition of what you put into it, into the word Trinity. So, and then you have something like miracles, etc. That things happen, what he underestimated. Always things happen, and it has always been and will always be things happen that we can't understand. That's connected with our limitation of our knowledge. Our knowledge is limited. Every scientist is aware of it and therefore much closer to be a real religious person than a pope or than a priest many times. Because this is the way to go. Yes, there are things you can't explain, and yes, we have to live with it. And yes, we should try to explain it, and we should try to find its logos, because that's what Jesus asked us, to find the logos, because first was the logos and the logos became God, or in other words, first was the logic and the logic became I am who I am, from the true nature. And it's a more exact translation. It gives a different viewpoint. So he was pro-science, he was pro-logic, and he even asked people to bring the logic, the science, the common sense to the world. That means bring the logos to the world, bring logic to the world, bring common sense to the world, bring science to the world. That's what would be the new words for it. And saying, oh no, bring obedience to the world. Bring obedience of somebody who says he is a priest of a church of mine. Jesus didn't want to be a king, and it's not about such thing of satanic power games, I would even say. Jefferson's called it the real Antichrist. So it's a little bit more about this kind of, it's my perception, so I'm not perfect. I have some experience. About some experiences I will talk, about some experiences I won't talk, because it doesn't make sense to talk about experiences what are too far from the experiences of others. Sorry, because you can't really understand, and they wouldn't be able to judge it anyway, and wouldn't help them anyway to say yes, I believe or I don't believe. It's not about this. It's the exchange of information should lead to own experiences, to own knowledge in the end. If it's just about belief and not belief, there are things you have to believe and not to believe, but it should be put and taught in a way that the things the students have to believe, they may be able and will be able quite soon to understand in a logical way their own experiences or by their own development of logic. Sorry, some cough. Okay.